Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
More resources are now available to help those working to recover from January's devastating floods. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. The Small Business Administration opened a business recovery center today in National City. And as KPBS reporter Alexander Nguyen explains, homeowners and renters can also find help there.
The Business Recovery Center opened today at noon inside the Southwestern College Higher Education Center in National City. SBA representatives were there to help people like Cynthia Davis.
My home was affected by the mudslide.
To navigate the application process, Davis owns an accessory dwelling unit, or ADU, behind her home in Mount Hope that she rents out on Airbnb. The flood washed mud and other debris into her backyard from the hills.
It just makes it's really nasty.
And now she's here looking to get some help.
Putting another fence or a gate or something to make that more stable, because at this point, every time it rains, I fear, because it's constantly falling, you know, with the mud.
Small businesses and private nonprofit organizations can borrow up to $2 million in low-interest loans to help cover what insurance won't.
The SBA says you don't need an appointment or any paperwork to get the process started. They'll email you if any documents are required.
Claudia Anderson with the SBA says affected homeowners and renters also qualify for SBA loans.
The qualifications that you need are to be creditworthy, but we really do want you to come in and submit a loan to be able to see what you have available to you.
Anderson says renters and homeowners qualify for up to $500,000, and no payment are required nor interest accrued for the first 12 months of the loan. Anderson says people should come by, even if they don't think they qualify.
The customer service representatives here understand the loan process and understand the trauma that people have gone through, and they're here to try to help in any way that they can.
The center is open from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. For more information, visit sba.gov/disaster or call 800-659-2955. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
It's been 5 weeks since students and staff at Bancroft Elementary in Spring Valley had access to their school since classrooms flooded during the January 22nd flood. Today, they are back, and teachers hope to bring back consistency and routine for their students. And according to our media partner, KGTV, the school's courtyard filled with more than 14 feet of water, with 32 classrooms damaged.
A lot that comes into, kind of being back on campus, and again, celebrating all the hard work. I know it hasn't been easy for parents, for teachers, for families. Everybody's, trying to make it work. And so this was really nice to just be able to know that that chapter is closing and we're back here at Bancroft.
While damage was being addressed at Bancroft Elementary, students were learning at nearby Spring Valley Academy, which is a middle school campus.
Well, I know it's been a little dreary, but not a washout. Now, tonight, we are still talking about a couple of showers making their way on through with a low of 55. Now, that rain isn't quite done with the region. We're going to time out how long that rain is going to stick around and where temperatures go as we venture throughout the rest of the week. Stay with us.
California is one of 8 states joining a federal lawsuit to block the merger of Kroger and Albertsons. The suit claims the combination of the two major grocers would result in higher prices for shoppers and lower wages for workers. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer talked to shoppers who are already dealing with high prices.
You're not going to go hungry with these soups. This is you can feed this for 4 people.
Putting food on the table can be an expensive ordeal amid high food price inflation, says Liliana Barraza.
It's ugly. Prices are nasty, so we have to make it all the way over here.
She was shopping for her family at a Food for Less grocery store in Vista.
It's been hard. I live by Estelle Brothers, but I'd rather come over here because, to be honest, Food for Less the prices are affordable to me.
Affordability was at the heart of a new lawsuit filed today by the Federal Trade Commission to challenge Kroger's proposed $24.6 billion purchase of Albertsons. The Kroger portfolio includes Ralph's and Food for Less, while Albertsons owns Vaughn's and Pavilions.
Yeah, I come here every Monday to get my regular stuff. I used to buy a food cart, but now it's become 2 bags only.
Most employees for both companies are members of the United Food and Commercial Workers Union. Todd Walters is the president of UFCW Local 135. He says the lawsuit is good news.
Ultimately, we want good, fair competition, but we also want a good player in this market that's going to take care of our community and take care of our workers.
Kroger and Albertsons released statements saying they have a proven track record of lowering prices so more customers benefit from fresh, affordable food, and that the merger will expand competition, lower prices, increase wages, and protect union jobs while enhancing customer shopping experience. On the other hand, California Attorney General Rob Bonta says the merger will leave consumers with limited choices over where to shop.
Imagine if this thing closed. I mean, where are all these people going to go now?
Both companies have said they do not plan to close any stores and say they will challenge the FTC in court. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
The Chula Vista City Council District 4 seat held by former Councilwoman Andrea Cardenas was officially vacated today. It is the latest step in replacing Cardenas, who faces criminal charges for allegedly using government loans unlawfully. She resigned last Monday, February 19th. Chula Vista City Council now has 45 days from then to appoint someone new. Governor Gavin Newsom could be facing another attempt to remove him from office. A group called Rescue California announced plans to file a notice of intent to recall Newsom. They cite several reasons, including homelessness, high taxes, crime, and immigration issues. Newsom responded on social media, calling it a wasteful campaign to distract from the fight for democracy and reproductive freedom, adding, quote, "We will defeat them." The governor successfully fought off a recall effort in 2021. That one was initiated by people who were upset with his statewide COVID-19 policies. The last presidential primary before Super Tuesday takes place tomorrow in a key swing state. Former President Donald Trump is looking to extend his winning streak, while President Joe Biden faces a challenge within his own party. Karen Kafa has more.
Next up, Michigan. Nikki Haley is forging ahead despite a big loss in South Carolina on Saturday.
You can't have a candidate who's going to win a primary who can't win a general.
The former governor lost her home state by 20 points to former President Donald Trump.
I have never seen the Republican Party so unified as it is right now. Never been like that.
Still, she's bound to make the case for her candidacy for at least one more week as the race shifts toward the national campaign of Super Tuesday, with contests in more than a dozen states on March 5th. But first, Michigan, where both parties vote this Tuesday. Some progressive Democrats using the contest in a state with a sizable Arab American population to pressure President Biden to call for a permanent ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. The grassroots campaign urging votes of uncommitted.
They see this as an issue of being able to make their voices heard, and then if potentially a strong enough uncommitted showing does arise, that they will be able to then sort of maybe push the Biden administration to navigate in a different direction.
Other state Democrats understanding the differences, but urging the party to stick together.
I do know that we've got about 9 months until the general election, and we are taking Michigan very seriously, as they should.
Given Michigan's key role as a November swing state. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Voters in the city of San Diego have one local ballot measure to consider in the March 5th primary. And reporter Andrew Bowen joins us in the KPBS Newsroom to help explain Measure A. Andrew, what is this ballot measure all about?
Well, Maya, Measure A would allow the Office of the City Auditor to hire independent legal counsel. This office was established in 2008 to investigate waste, fraud, and abuse and the overall performance of city operations. And sometimes that means looking into the work of the City Attorney's Office. But the City Attorney's Office also acts as the auditor's lawyer, which critics see as a conflict. I spoke with City Council President Sean Elo Rivera, who supports Measure A. Here's what he said.
The question is if we are having the auditor take a look at an issue that includes work that the city attorney did, should we bring in somebody who is not from the city attorney's office to analyze that work? And again, what the council has done is simply given voters the opportunity to weigh in on that. And we'll see what they decide.
So, Andrew, what is the argument against Measure A?
Well, there's no organized campaign against this measure, but there was an argument against Measure A in the official voter pamphlet. It was filed by a retired public sector attorney, and he said the city attorney's office is perfectly capable of providing neutral legal advice and that the auditor is simply seeking more favorable legal opinions.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the NewsHour, the latest on efforts to free hostages from Gaza and Israel's plan to evacuate Palestinian civilians from Rafah. That's at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
The Supreme Court heard arguments today that could potentially change the course of social media in this country. Both Texas and Florida have passed laws that forbid companies from blocking or removing user content that goes against platform rules. Ivan Rodriguez explains how the court's decision could impact the future of the internet and free speech.
At the heart of Monday's Supreme Court arguments, the First Amendment. Can states ban social media companies from blocking content in order to protect the user's free speech? Or does doing so infringe on the company's First Amendment rights to moderate their own platforms?
If this statute goes into effect, we'd sort of have to fundamentally change our business models.
Texas and Florida both passed laws in 2021 looking to keep social media sites from what the states described as unfairly silencing conservatives. Florida Solicitor General Henry Whitaker argues the state's law is constitutional because it targets behavior, not expression. He says the companies act like public utilities and should be regulated the same way.
The telephone company and the delivery service have no First Amendment right to use their services as a choke point to silence those they disfavor.
Opponents, including NetChoice and industry groups suing to block both laws, argue the laws violate the company's own First Amendment rights to decide what speech to welcome on their private platforms. Their attorney telling the Supreme Court the broad nature of the laws could lead to a wide range of unintended consequences.
These same companies are getting hammered by people that say we're not doing enough to keep material that's harmful to children off of these sites, and yet these laws make it impossible for us to keep material that's harmful to children off of our sites.
In Atlanta, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
Amazon is rolling out its latest version of smart shopping carts, creating a whole new high-tech shopping experience. A Whole Foods in California will be the first in the state to deploy the new technology. Lena Howland shows us how it works.
On four wheels, the future of grocery shopping in California is rolling out at a San Mateo Whole Foods with the launch of the Amazon Dash Cart.
But we've designed this cart from top to bottom with the customer in mind.
In order to start using it, customers are given the choice to log into their Amazon or Whole Foods Market app using a QR code.
And it scans, signs me in, it knows it's me.
Then after signing in, it's as simple as putting a few bags in the cart and start scanning.
Just make sure the scanner hits it before you put it in the bag. And you'll see on the screen, red cherries, 16 ounces. These are on sale.
As for produce, the cart has a built-in scale, which weighs as you go.
It has sensor fusion technology, which is really, it knows the weight of everything. The entire cart has a weight sensor, so it knows when it's paper bags, your own personal items, produce that is weighed by the pound and charged by the pound.
Some shoppers will notice the cart has a built-in screen showing customers a real-time receipt of all items in the cart, essentially turning this into a personal self-checkout on wheels, which even lets you search where certain items are in the store.
And you'll see it tells me where I am in the store. I'm in the specialty food section. It is in aisle 5. So I am just I could either look at the aisles or I can look at this map.
Then when you're done shopping, you skip the checkout line and leave the store using the designated dash cart lane.
And all you do is walk out.
And payment will be automatically processed using the credit card associated with your account.
Lena Howland with that story. The smart carts are optional for customers. Whole Foods will still have regular shopping carts and checkout lanes open for those who prefer doing things the old-fashioned way. A recent study of the nation's air quality finds climate change may be erasing years of progress in the fight for clean air. KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson says that might require a different pollution control approach.
The First Street Foundation's report finds that climate change-related events could be clawing back the progress made to clean up pollution since the 1950s. That's when air quality was really bad, and also when the nation began turning things around.
We implemented the Clean Air Act, a handful of amendments on the Clean Air Act. We started the EPA. We instituted the National Ambient Air Quality Standards, and all of those things led to a sort of historical trend where we've really improved the air quality.
But the trend line is no longer going down. Western states like California are dealing with more frequent and more intense heat waves and wildfires. Spikes in ozone pollution happen during heat events, and spikes in particulate pollution happen when there are wildfires. That means air quality will be poor more often. Lead author Jeremy Porter says the region is paying a climate penalty.
And in some places where we're prone to see increasing frequencies and increasing intensities of wildfire activity, the air pollution, it can be bad, or we can expect to have poor air quality days, upwards of about 90 days out of the year.
The report finds traditional regulation of polluting industries or tailpipes will become less effective. He says more attention should be paid to wildfire suppression and other mitigation techniques aimed at keeping fire-related pollution spikes from happening. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
A local community organization that helps mobilize voters is facing added challenges after the January flooding. KPBS reporter Melissa May says Alliance San Diego is working through flood damage to get people to the polls.
Normally, leading up to Election Day, Alliance San Diego, a local nonprofit that empowers underserved communities to vote, is busy contacting residents about voting resources.
Every call, every knock, every text is getting to people, and it's getting them information that they vitally need.
Hi, my name is Vince, and I'm calling from Alliance San Diego.
And they're still doing that, but the January flooding has submerged some of their operations.
Trying to find people has been a challenge, and our goal is to make sure that everyone has access to our democracy and is participating in these elections.
Alliance San Diego's executive director, Andrea Guerrero, talks about their biggest challenge of getting people to vote right now.
We're very concerned about the communities we serve having the information they need in order to go vote. Right now they're worried about a roof over their head, and so I can understand that, but they're also not at their place of residence to receive the information about the election.
On top of this, Itza Maganda Chavez, Alliance's civic engagement director, walks us through another major obstacle they've had to overcome.
As you can tell from the rest of our building, we've lost a significant amount. You could see through the entire building.
The entire first floor flooded, causing about $100,000 in damages, she says. So they moved their whole voting operation to the second floor.
We're phone banking, and we're also texting people to try to make sure that they have everything that they need to go out and vote.
They're also on social media encouraging people to vote. Alliance canvassers are going door to door to communities affected by the flooding and to hotels where many displaced San Diegans are temporarily staying, encouraging residents worried about basic needs to take time to also vote.
If you are angry about how the city has responded in these floods, the best way to channel that anger is to vote. And we've heard from a lot of residents in the affected communities how important it is to them right now to vote.
If you don't have access to your mail-in ballot, Maganda Chavez explains how you can still make your vote count.
Vote at a voting center starting this Saturday. Folks can vote at certain voting centers until Election Day. And then starting March 2nd, they could actually vote at more than 200 voting centers across the counties.
To learn more about your voting options and to find a voting center near you, go to sdvote.com. Melissa May, KPBS News.
We also have more about the upcoming election on our website. The KPBS Voter Hub is where you'll find Q&As with candidates as well as information on how and where you can cast your ballot. Just go to kpbs.org/voterhub.
Well, let's start you off with your weather headlines. What you need to know as we go throughout the week. That wet weather continues through Tuesday. Now, it's not going to be a complete washout by any means, but a light shower or two still in the forecast as we head throughout the rest of the beginning of the week. Meanwhile, as we venture into the middle half of the week, we're much drier Wednesday into Thursday. Though as we head into the weekend, we are going to experience some cooling with those chances for showers starting to increase again. As for tonight, we are still talking about a few showers, especially there closer towards the coast from Oceanside to San Diego. Could get in on a quick shower or two, dropping down to lows in the 50s. Borrego Spring 51, Mount Laguna 36. Now, as we head into tomorrow, like I said, the rain's not quite done, but it's not going to be a washout. It's not going to be an all-day rain situation, but you may be caught under a quick shower or two. 66 for the high in Oceanside, rinse and repeat in San Diego, Ramona 63, Borrego Spring 75, and Mount Laguna 43. Now, if we take a look at these next 5 days here along the coast, again, a couple of showers still possible as we head into the day on Tuesday with a high of 66. Meanwhile, that sunshine shines bright again. We're going to be much drier as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. Highs still running in the mid-60s, but like I said, we are going to start to see that cool down as we head into the weekend, and that's when our next round of rain does start to push into the region. Meanwhile, further inland, highs going to be running in the upper 60s, low 70s throughout the middle of the week with mostly sunny skies on tap as we head into Wednesday, even Thursday with a mix of cloud and sun. But we are going to be dropping down to the low 60s again as we head into the weekend. For Saturday, it is going to be a little cooler as that next round of rain is set to push on in. As for the mountains, it's going to be quite chilly, especially as we head into the weekend, and it's going to be a little windy in the morning, especially on Tuesday. 43 there for the high. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're even still in the 40s, but we're dropping down to the mid-30s as we head into Saturday, and those winds are going to be picking up with that rain. It's going to be quite blustery and a little nasty at times. As for the deserts, you're even on tap to see some action as we head into the weekend as well. Highs in the 70s up until then we're dropping down to the 60s by Saturday with rain on the way. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Bree Guy.
The women's team from the Grossmont Community College Polo Club is heading to the National Championship in April. Over the weekend in San Luis Obispo, the Grossmont team beat Stanford and Montana State to advance and take the Western Intercollegiate Regionals trophy. The Community College Polo Club is only in its first year, and they're considered an underdog, even though they're defeated more established teams from schools like Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, and UC Santa Barbara. The men's team from Grossmont is also heading to the Nationals this spring after an undefeated season. On the north edge of the Salton Sea, there's a movement to create a new national monument. KPBS Imperial Valley reporter Corey Suzuki says for supporters, the land is especially important to communities of color.
It's a crisp morning at a small airstrip in Thermal, California, on the edge of Riverside and Imperial County. A coalition of environmental groups and tribes is here, taking community members up in the sky in a tiny Cessna plane. Their goal is to give people a new perspective on a large swath of high desert just to the east, to show it from the air.
The area that we're hoping to tour is, give or take, we're looking to protect 600,000 acres.
Denny Hernandez Oriana Barros is the Conservation Program Manager for Consejo de Federaciones Mexicanas, or COFEM.
This is what would be the Chuckwalla National Monument, starting from the eastern portion in the Mecca Hills and going all the way east to give or take about 10 miles from the Colorado River.
The coalition is urging the federal government to set aside those large sections of land as a new national monument. The proposal reaches east from the north edge of the Salton Sea to the winding Colorado River. The land is all craggy hillsides, badland canyons, and sweeping desert plains. But it's also home to sheep and foxes and chuckwallas, the stocky lizard that gives the proposal its name. Supporters say a monument, which is similar to a national park, would protect fragile desert ecosystems and historic cultural resources, and would also protect opportunities to spend time in nature, especially for the region's communities of color.
A lot of the environmental challenges are going to be impacting these communities at a higher level than other wealthier communities.
Frank Ruiz, director of Audubon California's Salton Sea program.
This is one of the reasons we want their voices to be a big part of this campaign, a big part of this movement, because we want those people to be at the center stage of the conservation movement.
The proposal is still under federal consideration. Corey Suzuki, KPBS News.
And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS Newsroom. The largest trees on the planet have been hit hard by climate change and wildfires. On NPR's Morning Edition, the new effort underway to help giant sequoias survive. And Dr. Eric Topol is joining KPBS Midday Edition to talk about recent changes to COVID-19 guidelines. And as always, you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.